Hi there, it's Nicole, and today I have a clean and simple card with Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers featuring the STAMPtember stamp set, a collaboration between Simon Says Stamp and Art Impressions. This is the To Perfection stamp set, which features this adorable little image of these two women enjoying some cheese and wine with a really fun sentiment. And I'll pair that with a greeting from the Adult Beverages Sayings from Simon Says Stamp. And I'll show you that in a little bit. Most of this card is coloring. I love the look of Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers on Bristol Smooth cardstock. I'm using VersaFine ink to stamp the image. It gives fantastic, crisp details, but you need to make sure you heat set the ink first so it doesn't bleed. So I always like to hit it with a heat tool afterwards, but the amazing detail that it provides, it's kind of unlike any or most other inks anyway. I'm sure there's might be others, but for me, I really love it for this kind of technique. So I'm just heating this up, making sure that the ink is nice and set. You could also sprinkle on clear embossing powder if you wanted to and set the ink that way. Here is my little image of these two women that I am going to color in. And what's different, for me at least, for Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers as opposed to a Copic marker is I lay down the dark color first and blend it out with my lighter marker. And then I make sure and clean the tip of my lighter marker off on scrap paper as I'm working to help keep that color from blending out too much. You'll lose some of that definition. The Zigs are water-based, so they're great for watercoloring type techniques. If you wanted this to look more watercolor, you could lay down your colors and use a water brush pen, a small paintbrush dipped in water, something like that to kind of watercolor this out and give it a completely different look. Copic markers are alcohol ink markers, so they give you it's a different effect. I think that they're kind of similar in the effect, in that both of them blend really nicely. They just go about it differently. I guess that's what I want to say. This is a very easy way, I think, to blend. Not that coloring with Copics isn't, and I think there's probably a learning curve with any of it, but I think these are really forgiving, and I love that about it. So I like to lay down my dark color. I'm also only using 2 shades per color family, and that really kind of minimizes the amount of effort it takes to figure out what to use as well. I colored her sweater kind of a maroon color and then her jeans a denim color. I have listed the colors along the left side of the screen. I have switched that up. I've had several comments wanting people wanting the words not to cover up the coloring. I think for the most part this helps having them all along the side of the screen, but I also have more people who like to see what colors I'm using and where. So I'm trying to make everybody happy here, I guess, which is hard to do, I know, but just coloring in all of these different sections. I've listed what I'm coloring, the colors I'm using, both the number and the name. These I kind of go more by name than number, but they do have both. So depending on how you look for your Zig markers, hopefully this will help. The second woman has kind of these tan leggings or pants on, and then I want her jacket to be kind of army green. I skipped around a lot while working on this image. I try not to do that very often, but for this one I just kind of went where the feeling led me and worked on the whatever section it was, one at a time. The clothing, for whatever reason, generally is what draws me in. I don't really know why that is, but that is what I always go for first. And then I will work my way out. Generally, I also like to do faces and hair first, but I really didn't. I started with that on the one lady, but then I kind of skipped around a bunch. So I'm going to go back and do the second lady's skin really quick. Same as the first. I did add some pale pink to the cheeks on both women. Gives a nice little pop of color. Plus the pale rose color for her lips gives those a little bit darker color. For her earrings, I am using a Wink of Stella gold glitter pin. In fact, both women have earrings. They're both going to be colored with those. Now she has pretty dark denim leggings on or jeans on, so I'm going for a little denim jacket over her sweater that's going to be a little bit lighter. So I'm pulling in that same blue-gray that I used as the light color in the leggings, and then a lighter color to make that denim jacket just a shade lighter. And I forgot her other hand here, so I went ahead and colored that in real quick. Now, they were kind of floating in outer space, at least for me. So grounding them with a little color along the bottom is going to really help, I feel. I'm not going all out with my background on this card. Not every card has to have a full background and a full scene, but I do like having a little something that grounds them and then some sort of an embellishment that adds to it, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I used a couple of gray markers to do that. I laid down my dark gray first and blended it out with the lighter. Her scarf and shoes are going to be in some shades of brown. In fact, they're the same browns that I used for the other lady's hair. They are definitely in fall colors because they've got fall outfits on. And it's getting ready to be cool here all next week, which I'm very excited about. My kids are excited about. We're all ready for fall. So it was perfect timing for coloring in these two cute ladies with their outfits. Some darker black hair for this lady. Couple shades of gray for that. She looks so much better now. I think the images always look funny when the hair and the skin isn't colored for whatever reason. For her cup, I used a little haze blue, just really lightly to make the glass look like glass. And then wine red and deep red for the wine. Light brown and flesh color for the cheese. The plate, I'm going to use one of the darker gray colors. Anything that I had lying out here. Just something to lay down some color. Light grays again for the fork. Everything is colored now. So it's time to add some detail. I've got a black glaze pen that I'm going to go over buttons on the jackets, really make those pop. The eyes, some of that flesh color got into the white part of her eyes, so I went over that with a white pen. I'll go back over then with a black pen to make sure that they really pop. Adding little highlights with a white pen now. This card is 95% coloring, which I think is very, very fun, but it also came together really quickly. Just add a few more highlights here and there. There's the cute little greeting. I decided to add a decorative border around this, and also it's going to make the panel just a little smaller by die cutting with a stitched rectangle die. And then I wanted to add something. I just felt like the card needed something. So what I'm going to do is combine the greeting from To Perfection, this Art Impressions stamp set, with the Cheers greeting from the Adult Beverage Sayings stamp set. So the greeting will read, "Few things in life age as well as you, ... Here's to perfection. Cheers." I thought that went together really well. I'm going to stamp the greeting first with the black ink. I use the VersaFine ink, so it's going to stay wet a little bit longer. I'm going to be embossing the word cheers, so I need to make sure and dry the sentiment that I just stamped with a heat tool so that the embossing powder doesn't stick to it. It would be okay if I was using clear embossing powder, but I'm going to be using gold embossing powder to make the word cheers really stand out. So I stamped that, embossed it with gold embossing powder, and then I'm attaching this all to a navy card base. Help make the panel pop even more. And then I'm going to finish the card with some Nuvo crystal drops in Copper Penny, which is one of my favorite colors. And then I've got two newer colors that I just got fairly recently, English Mustard and Navy Blue. And I think they go with this so well. And I love being able to create my own size of drops. I've had some questions about creating the drops and how to get the best rounded drops. They tend to round as they dry. If they're not, try really hard to apply them as vertically as possible. Meaning when you're squeezing out the crystal drops, try to do it really with your bottle nice and vertical. For whatever reason, they come out better and they round. I also think the newer the bottle, sometimes the better they work. However, I've had Copper Penny for a while. I sometimes like to just kind of squeeze the bottle. I really don't know if that helps. I also will squeeze some out on my craft mat because they just pop right off when they're dry. And I practice a little bit and make sure they're going to look good before I commit to putting them on my project. That way I don't have to, or I don't accidentally mess something up. Once I have my little scattering of Nuvo crystal drops all over the background here, my card is going to be all finished. Thanks for joining me today for this STAMPtember project featuring the limited edition Art Impressions stamp set for Simon Says Stamp called To Perfection. The supplies I used to create this card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Simon Says stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.